Are you rethinking your purpose in life? Being centered in a strong spiritual connection is more important now than ever. Hi, I'm Bryn, Blankinship, hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Each episode, I'll share my experiences with guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and the soul lessons gained, prompting you to explore your own soul's journey and empowering you by shifting your perception of yourself and your place in this world. I want you to know that you're here by design, not by accident. You are not alone. You are loved. You are here on purpose for a purpose. When you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose, you support others in fulfilling theirs. If this intrigues you, stay tuned in as we explore. Hey, everybody. So today we are going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about my chapter in Michael Newton's book, Memories of the Afterlife. And, you know, when a young child dies, how do we understand what's behind all of that for a brief earthly life? That's what we're going to talk about today, because this is something that comes up often. People ask me about this all the time because they want to understand that, right? And what we're going to talk about in this segment is that although they may have young bodies, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily young. There's a lot of wisdom that comes with the child. They have a direct connection to their soul without a lot of filters that we have here. And so this story is about spiritual exploration. It's about grief, love, eternal connection. And it's my chapter of a life between lives story with my client, Candace. And this is, it's after she lost her two grandchildren in a car accident. It had only been about 4 months when she came to see me. And she already had a belief in the afterlife, but she was missing joy. She was missing connection. She was having trouble sleeping, you know, all the things that you would expect that someone is experiencing when they've lost a child or a grandchild in this case. And the kids had died in a car accident. So this is Memories of the Afterlife. And my story is a chapter called When Children Teach from the Grave. And it was my honor when Michael asked me to contribute a story to his book. And I chose this one because it is a topic that people have questions about. And I chose it for today's show because I thought it could help us to better understand that, like, why that would even happen. Why would a soul choose to experience this? Okay, so I want to start with, there's a difference between a soul's earthly life and their eternal maturity as a soul. Okay, let me stop there for a second and let that settle. There's a difference between a child's earthly life and the soul's eternal maturity, okay? And the two children in this story, Emma's grandchildren, are Daniel and Emma, and the healing that came when she recognized them as souls, all right? And these are souls that continued beyond the earthly body, the eternal life. That's what we're going to talk about today. So what happens when a young child dies? When a child dies at a young age? The soul, just like an adult, their soul passes into the spirit realm. It leaves, it goes through a process. It's greeted by their guides. And then, depending on the soul contract that they have with the loved ones left behind, they will continue to carry out that contract from beyond their bodies. So in this case, a 10-year-old body, and I believe it was a 7-year-old. Emma was 7 and Daniel was 10. So when Candace was seeking understanding as a grandmother for their deaths, there's the emotional reality of losing the children and just the absence of their touch, the moments they shared together, everyday things, right? When they played together, those ordinary moments, missing all of that. And then having that belief, she already believed in eternal life in the spirit world. That wasn't at question, but that she was not able to feel them the way that she wanted to. And there were moments where they came through, but she wasn't feeling that. So she wanted to experience that connection, and that's why she came to see me. So let's talk a little bit about Daniel and Emma. Daniel had a big energy. He was the boy. He had a special connection to his grandmother. There was just a really strong bond with the two of them. And he was athletic, but he was sensitive. He was loving. He was emotionally perceptive. And these were her descriptions to me. And there was, like I said, there was that strong bond with Candace. And so Emma, her earthly personality, she was petite, she was playful, she was a little mischievous. And she also had she carried a sadness about her. And Candace even mentioned that she felt like towards the end, it's as if they knew that they weren't going to be together, and she felt more of this sadness at the end before anyone knew that this car crash was going to happen. So there's the child's personality. This is what I want you to see and understand. There's the child's personality in their earthly body. And then there's their soul personality, their soul light, their consciousness that goes beyond the personality. Okay? And, those big souls have to squeeze into those tiny little bodies. We all did it. And, in our human minds, we expect that we're going to live to be old. You think you're born, you're going to live to be old. You kind of think that. But that's not the case. You live to fulfill your soul's purpose. And so let's explore this a little further. So when I did the session with Candace, we started with a past life session to kind of pave the way for the LBL. So she went to a lifetime as Sequana, who was a native healer and connected to animals and plants and the spirit and the land. And those are the kind of lives that Candace enjoys incarnating into, but she chose a different one this time around. And so the major lesson from her past life session, going back to the lifetime as Sequana, was to really be in touch with that great spiritual strength of that healer, to help with isolation and the difficulty of the passing of the children. There were experiences that happened in Sequana's lifetime, and revisiting this for Candace allowed her to fill her cup, to fill that reservoir of strength that she needed. It gave her clarity, it gave her purpose and strength to help her now from keeping her energy scattered. So that's why her guides and her soul chose to take her to that lifetime in our session that we did the first day. Okay. And then we followed up with the Life Between Lives session. So another piece of that is in Candace's current life, grief would require her to stay connected. She needed to hold this energy of connection for the family and to not retreat into solitude. So that's her current life lesson. That is part of why she experienced what she did and what drew her to have a session with me to work through these emotions. So When we did the LBL, Life Between Lives, and we went into that spiritual state of the between, her soul came forward, and her soul colors came forward actually. And her soul name is Isla, and it's a bluish tone. And then two of her guides came forward too. So there was a reunion with her guides, Gabrielle and Michael. Now, Michael was her senior guide, and he had dark, glowing colors and the deepest of violets. And Candace's guide, Gabrielle, her colors were more of pure gold with rich purples mixed in. All right. And like I said, Candace's soul, her soul carries blue tones. And so we went to a spiritual library. And this library was in a huge temple with stone floors. It was magnificent, the way she described it. And there were many, many levels to the library. And there was a place of review. There was a place of integration and remembering. And, she was being reminded that souls carry from lessons from lifetimes, they carry them forward, and that each life, each body offers a temporary role, a personality, and a set of lessons. Okay. And in current life, she said, quote, "This one is full of challenge. I need the emotions, the challenges, or the obstacles that make it hard to stay the course." So she chose that challenge to work through it. And when she went into the library, Isla was very clear with me. I'm not here to study. That's for another time. I'm here to deposit information from a lifetime, the lifetime as Sequana, and make that deposit kind of recharge from being in the energy of all her other lives while she did that. And then she went on to the next place. So she went to a courtyard, and there she said there are lines of connectivity with the soul group that wind from each one of us to each other. And then sometimes those lines are lit, sometimes they're not. So I asked her to find the lines that would connect her to her grandchildren. And then as she did, there was a line that appeared. It was stronger in the case of Daniel. Now, Emma did come forward, but we find out that Emma is not part of Candace's soul group. Emma is, she's in an affiliate group. She's part of the soul lesson. She's agreed to help in this way, but Daniel is part of the soul group. And these souls of the children appear strong. They are not helpless children. They are strong with purpose, awareness. They have agency. They have wisdom. And Daniel's energy was much bigger than his 10-year-old physical self. I mean, he had huge energy. And so what he was here to help Candace do is keep her heart open. That's his role. Now that he's crossed over, he's here to keep Candace's heart open so that she can help the family, so she can be strong for the remaining family members and especially the remaining grandchild. So Emma had a different connection, and there was love there between all of them, but it was a stronger connection with Daniel because of his connection in the soul group, his soul contract. And, the soul age is much wiser. There's a depth, there's experience from all the lived lifetimes. And, there's an intensity that comes with that goes beyond these lifetimes. So, children are teachers and guides from the other side, because on the other side, they're no longer children. The child is the role that they took, the role, earthly role that they took on for this incarnation. All right. So an early passing of Daniel and Emma served as a catalyst It was a catalyst for the family. It was part of Candace's karmic lesson to overcome isolation as she had experienced in her past lives. And that tragedy can either unite or divide. And, she's taken on the role and chosen to be strong for the family members to help them work through their emotions. They're all working through this together. And so, it's not about minimizing grief. And I want to be very clear about that. It is about love and meaning that go beyond tragedy, that go beyond our earthly bodies, that go beyond age, because the soul has power and strength no matter what age the physical body. Okay? And then another thing that happened was we went before the Council of Elders. And so with the Council of Elders, they said, look, sadness is understandable. We know you feel sad. They told Candace that. But they asked her to move beyond the despair to see the truth about the children's passing, the truth about them as souls. They even gave her some practical instruction. They told her to eliminate the wine because she needed to stay fully present in her body, in her spirit, in her energy, so that she could feel all of life. That is part of her soul lesson, is to feel all of life, not just part. And so she must make her way through it and experience it. And they wanted her to know that. So they talked to her about meditation, connecting in dreams. She was aware of those things. Some of those things she began to study. And that remembering the children would continue their presence to help the family heal. It would keep them alive. Share pictures, share stories. Don't be afraid to talk about them. When you talk about them, you're pulling their energy of their spirit forward. They're a part of the conversation. They're bringing up some of the funny stories to help you laugh, to help you cry, to help you work through it. So, with Candace, it wasn't that she needed to believe in eternal existence. She needed to feel it. That was that's part of her soul lesson. And her relationship with the children continues. It explained why she had a stronger connection with Daniel versus Emma, but she loved them both dearly. And that, he's not restricted now by his physical body. So following the session, when I met with Candace to write the story and I did the follow-up, she looked good. Her energy was better. It was a few months after the session. Her energy was better and her heart was still mending, but she was able to connect to joy. She was able to find some joyful moments and really feel that where she hadn't before. And, she said to me, she said, Bryn, feeling joyful, knowing that we will dance again. I know we will dance together again, is helping her through it. And then she's having those moments, not only being reminded and remembering in the session where the children came through, but there are things that are happening in her life that she was just more present to connect with the children when they came through in various ways that they did. And so the other thing that happened is I stayed in touch with her, and she went on to take my hypnosis certification. She took my past life certification. She served as a training assistant with me. She helped with my certification reviews. She went through the whole process. And then she took Life Between Lives training when I taught that course with the Newton Institute as well. So she took that journey all the way and used what she had been through to help others with their experiences and whatever they were working through. So I want to leave you with the thought that a child's life may be brief in earthly time, but it's the soul behind that life that is vast and ancient and deeply connected to those who love them. The connection is through the heart. The connection is there. It's strong, and they are communicating in various ways to get your attention, to for them to let you know that they're okay. They love you, so that you can feel the love and melt the pain and the grief, so that you can open your heart to that connection that's there for you. And it's in stages, it's in layers. It doesn't happen all at one time, but they can help you through it if you will allow yourself to keep your heart open and be more present and don't numb out. Be in the moment. So if you're interested in the story and memories of the afterlife, I tried not to give away some of the secret. There's a lot of things in here I didn't tell you. There's some really beautiful things that happened. And then Michael Newton edited my story. He actually helped me. Well, I edited and he gave me input, but we both agreed this was such an important topic. He wanted to be the one to be hands-on with this. So he did. And I'll tell you, he had me cut out a few parts that I wanted to include, and I fought for them. And then I trusted him and I took them out. And you know what? He was right. It made the story better and clearer. So, I learned how to edit with Michael Newton because he wasn't afraid to take out parts that I was like, no, we need to leave that in there. He's like, nope, it makes the story clearer if you just stick to these elements, because this was a long session. These were 2 long sessions, actually. And I didn't know when we were doing it that we would be writing a story. I was just guiding a session for my client to help her with grief. So if this interests you, take a look. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bryn Blankinship, and you can reach me at Facebook, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, my YouTube channel. What is Facebook? At author, Bryn Blankinship author, I think it is. And then my website, brynblankinship.com, for upcoming classes and upcoming events. Until next time, thank you so much. Are you rethinking your purpose in life? Being centered in a strong spiritual connection is more important now than ever. Hi, I'm Bryn Blankinship, hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Each episode, I'll share my experiences with guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and the soul lessons gained, prompting you to explore your own soul's journey and empowering you by shifting your perception of yourself and your place in this world. I want you to know that you're here by design, not by accident. You are not alone. You are loved. You are here on purpose, for a purpose. When you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose, you support others in fulfilling theirs. If this intrigues you, stay tuned in as we explore.